In previous lessons, we talked about waste being something that gets in our way in an organization. In this introductory video, we'll explore the various forms of waste in a business or manufacturing setting. Understanding forms of waste is crucial for implementing lean principles and improving overall efficiency. Let's dive in and let's learn about the 8 forms of waste in an organization. Transportation. Transportation waste refers to the unnecessary movement of materials, products, or information between processes or locations. This can include excessive handling, moving items long distances, or unnecessary transportation between different work areas. Reducing transportation waste is important in lean practices to streamline processes and eliminate unnecessary cost and time delays. So, the key thing to take note of is unnecessary movement of your vehicles, your transportation in between point A to point B. What is going to be the most efficient way here, right? Is it waiting for that shipment to be completely loaded up? Plan your routes accordingly so you're not wasting mileage? Or is it reducing the time that your supplier comes to your organization? These are things you can keep in mind when it comes to transportation. Inventory waste, often referred to as inventory carrying cost, occur when a company holds more inventory than is necessary for immediate use or sale. This excess inventory ties up our capital, takes up valuable space, and can lead to additional costs such as storage, insurance. And sometimes you'll find that inventory can become obsolete over time. Reducing inventory waste is crucial in lean operations to improve cash flow, reduce lead times, and increase overall efficiency. Here are the key points. Inventory is going to have overhead cost, right? Your overhead costs, you have to pay for labor for the inspection of it. Every month, taking accountability and finding what the difference is between actual on-hand inventory versus what's in the computer. You have to take into account these different aspects. So oftentimes we try to reduce our overhead. I worked at an organization one time as a quality engineer, and they literally took their inventory, and when the Japanese supervisors would come in stateside, they would take their inventory and they would move it to a different warehouse. Right? Think of the needless movement of material, the waste, the hiding the financial information. Right? Inventory oftentimes takes up also our operating space. So, how do we reduce that? Well, what are some ways we can reduce our inventory? Well, we, practice just in time manufacturing. So, inventory is often a big form of waste in an organization. Motion waste refers to unnecessary movements or steps. This is often used by accidents for workers using or not accident, excuse me, it performs by workers during the course of their work, right? If you're looking at stepping away or moving around an operation, what is the most efficient way to do that? This can include excessive reaching, bending, walking, or searching for tools or information. Oftentimes, when we minimize motion waste, it's important because in lean practices, we want to reduce and improve injuries and improve the accidents in an organization, right? This is where we think of theories such as ergonomics, reducing fatigue, and increasing productivity in the workforce. Motion is oftentimes, and we'll talk about this during the analyze phase, is drawn out through a spaghetti diagram, essentially going through and labeling in your plant through the map, the walkthrough of what your person does or moves about. This is a third principle of waste in lean production. And motion waste, again, is moving back and forth, and we want to reduce the steps there. The next thing is waiting, and we've all been to a restaurant where we've waited a little bit too long for our food or our drinks, right? Waiting is something as known as idle time, and this is time you're still paying your employees to be on the clock. You're still paying for that rental of that machine or that crane, right? Those aspects are, you want to value people's time as if it was your own, right? Essentially, when you look at it from a business perspective, you're losing money if your people are standing there. Essentially, that's not a good leadership foundation. And so we want to look at how do we reduce the waiting in our organization. Well, waiting, also known as idle time, occurs when employees or processes are waiting for materials, information, equipment, or instructions to proceed with their work. This waste can lead to delays, decreased productivity, and increased lead times. When we minimize waste, it's essential in lean practices to optimize workflow, reduce bottlenecks, and improve overall efficiency. We often describe bottlenecks as theory of constraints. Well, how long are you waiting in between your process steps? How long is that material that may have an expiration date waiting on the plant floor? Or that important document that needs to be closed in 30 days for a mortgage? How do we reduce the wait time, right? That's one thing that aggravates our customers and prevents us from fully adapting our principles of lean. When you think of organizations such as Amazon, think about how powerful of a movement that 2-day delivery time is. So waiting is something we want to take into account, right? How long is our non-value added time? That's often how you'll see me describe waiting throughout this course. This is non-value adding for us. Waiting is another form of waste in lean. Overproduction waste occurs when more production is produced than is immediately needed or demanded for by our customer. This can lead to excessive inventory, increased storage cost, and potential waste if products become obsolete or expire. Overproduction waste is a key focus in lean practices as it can indicate inefficiencies in production processes and lead to reduced profitability. Oftentimes, I'll see production managers say we need to produce more product to meet our customers' demand, or we need to produce more product so we can have it on hand just in case. Well, oftentimes that ratio of defects is still there. So if you're increasing the production amount, you're also increasing the number of defects. Essentially, when we think about Sally's operation, how did she increase the defects? Well, she didn't, but the vases were broke upon delivery. So, that's something too, is if a customer or a vendor is providing not good supplies or broken down of supplies, we need to look at it from a process of where do we cut our cost. Oftentimes, overproduction is a form of waste. Supply chain management, we discuss a lot about the bullwhip effect. And oftentimes, when there's a big hype for production, an immediate order will be sent out to a company and they'll overproduce way more things, right? If you look at, for example, you look at Funko Pops, right? Those are overproduced and you can see them on the shelves everywhere you go. There is an immediate amount of waste in an organization when you overproduce a product. Overprocessing waste occurs when more work is done on a product than is required by the customer or adds value. This can include using more expensive or complex processes than necessary, adding features that are not requested, or providing services that are not needed. Overprocessing can lead to increased cost, longer lead times, and reduce competitiveness. Identifying and implementing overprocessing waste is essential in lean practices to streamline processes and improve overall efficiency. If we overprocess a car, and even though it's built to last 100,000 miles, but our customer often trades in his vehicles 20 to 30,000 miles. That's a form of overprocessing. Another example would be, building a phone that's built to last 10 years, but a customer replaces it after 2, right? Over engineering a product here is also a form of overprocessing. And that is another form of waste in lean operations. Now, defects is a known as rework or scrap in an operation. We often refer to it as products or services that do not meet customer requirements or standards. Defects result in additional work, cost, and time to correct the issues, leading to decreased customer satisfaction and increased waste. Minimizing defects is critical to focus on lean principles and improve quality, reduce waste, and enhance overall value to the customer. When we look at defective products in an organization, we need to understand how many good products do we have versus defective products. And we want to minimize those number of defects, right? Think about if your defective product goes out to your customer, or your customer didn't close on their house because the mortgage paperwork wasn't finished. Or if you're a business operation and you build a house for an organization or a person, and there's defective supplies. Defects are something that aggravate the customer more than anything. I think it's waiting and then defects on top of it, depending on if you're a customer. When we look at defects are something that destroy our reputation in an organization. They also hinder our performance, and oftentimes we don't track our number of defects and reduce that. We often have quality issues and lose our customer base. In the 1970s, we had about 1 out of 4 American-made automobiles that had some type of defect. And you saw that transition from essentially the foreign market to the American-made industry. You saw a lot of customers leave the American automobile industry because of those quality defects. Now, skills in the terms of lean is about the underutilization of employees' abilities and expertise. Your employees are your workforce. They're the ones that see the defects. They're the ones that see the customer complaints. They're the ones that understand the customer. When we fully engage our workforce and we look at the waste that employees are not fully engaged, or when their skills are not effectively leveraged to improve processes or solve problems, addressing skill waste involves ensuring that employees are properly trained, empowered, and encouraged to contribute their knowledge and expertise to enhance productivity and efficiency in the operation. You know, we say, well, my team doesn't know how to lead and I have to constantly watch them. Bring in train the trainers, bring in change management industry experts. Talk to a Lean Six Sigma Master Black Belt, a facilitator coach. You know, there is always some type of resource to give your people training. A long time ago, I heard this CEO, he said, Zach, what happened if I spend all this money to train people and they leave? And I said, well, what happened if you don't train them and they stay? What's going to be the most cost waste? And a lot of times we forget the value that training can have and an impact it can have on teams. As leaders, you know, we should be trainers in ourselves because we should be able to know how to facilitate and guide people to their process. And, you know, I remember a long time ago, there was a gentleman that I worked for. He was a pastor, and he was such an incredible leader, but he basically said two things. Number one, you can't re-raise people. Number two is you find what people excel at and you find out how to make that a part of the operation. So when we undervalue skills, we undervalue our workers, and oftentimes that's why they leave organizations. So skills is a next component of waste in an organization. Tim Woods is the acronym we use to represent lean manufacturing and process improvement waste, right? Transportation, the T. The I, inventory. M, motion. The W, waiting. Overproduction. Overprocessing. Defects and skills. By reducing and eliminating these waste, organizations can streamline their processes, reduce cost, and improve overall efficiency and quality. Now, I joke with people all the time, and I'm like, it's not Tiger Woods, it's Tim Woods. So go ahead and repeat that 5 times. It's not Tiger Woods, it's Tim Woods. And I'll see you in the next video.